officially begin. Welcome, everybody. My name is Christine Valenza-Shin, and I'm the Executive Director for Beyond Barnard, and we are very pleased to hold today's session and have so many of you join in, and we are also happy to be playing, I guess what you could say, a liaison and advising role here at Beyond Barnard. Our task is to give administrative support and liaison support to the collaboration, the partnership that is represented by the different pathways, as well as support all of you in your exploration of the pathways. And should you choose to apply, we also support the application process. So talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but in the meantime, we will get started with this overview of several different pathways in the through the engineering school. So our plan for today is I'll start out by giving a bit of an overview of the pathways and advising, and then we'll have information about the application timeline and process, and then focus in on several of the specific pathways. Excellent. And we've got a number of folks joining us from the, as we go through the presentation, we'll have folks introduce themselves. We have a combination of Barnard and Columbia folks here today to share information about the different programs. So the accelerated 4+1 pathways have existed formally for 5 or 6 years, not only with the School of Engineering, but with SEPA, Mailman School of Public Health, the Harriman Institute, and the QMSS program at Columbia. These are formal partnerships between Barnard and the Columbia schools and involve these shared information systems, faculty lead support here on the Barnard side of the street, Beyond Barnard providing its support, and then collaboration with our colleagues across the street in the School of Engineering within the admissions department, as well as the specific departments. So the idea behind the pathways is, as you all know, and I'm sure why you're here, is they give a unique opportunity for students to combine your undergraduate BA from Barnard with a master's degree at Columbia. So today we are focusing in on 5 of the pathways: chemical engineering, biomedical engineering, and then civil, electrical, or mechanical engineering. The other C's pathways are industrial engineering and operations research and computer science. So that's our focus for today. And I'm going to say a few words before I turn it over to the those more expert than I to talk a little bit just about how we divide the advising and support for you as you contemplate, as you explore the programs, and then if you decide to apply, and then when you're admitted and engrossed in your 4th and then 5th year. So Beyond Barnard, as I mentioned, gives administrative and liaison support. From a advising point of view, we are happy to talk to you about your particular situation, what's drawing you to the pathways, how possibly completing the pathways fit with your academic interests, your long-term career goals. And we give general information, walk you through some of the specifics of how this might fit in with your particular timeline. And then when you are ready to apply, we give application support, as we do for, for jobs and other graduate school opportunities. But this, in the case of the 4+1s, we're happy to work with you on your personal statement, to review your resume or CV. And we'll often walk through students the, ideas and how to approach soliciting references. So wherever you are in the path, especially once you've viewed one of these info sessions, feel free to come in and speak with us if you haven't already. And we're happy to meet you where you're at in terms of your thinking about 4+1s and point out next steps. Next step is often either the Barnard faculty lead or your major advisor, depending on where you're at in your academic progress, In terms of the nuts and bolts of what you're taking and how many credits and how you plan to fulfill your Barnard requirements, that type of specific academic information needs to come from a faculty member, either the Barnard faculty lead for the pathway you're considering, or your major advisor should always be looped in as well on what you're planning and can give you extra insight. Definitely talk about your major, your minor, other academic goals you might have. If you're thinking about study abroad, other factors that could weigh into your academic decisions, it's really helpful to talk those through as well with someone on the faculty side. And then across the street, we have each department, each pathway has a combination of School of Engineering administrators, advisors, and faculty members. And some of the things that students often talk to them is, delving into the particular curriculum, what are the requirements for each concentration, et cetera, exploring possible career pathways that a C's degree can open up. I mean, if you're thinking about what you might want to focus in, what electives you might want to take. And then certainly if you're having any issues with application logistics, you apply directly through the Graduate School of Engineering. So they're the folks who are in charge of that and those mechanics. So that just gives you a little overview. There's definitely some overlap. There's no particular order. You're not, we encourage you to sort of start on the Barnard side so that you get the sort of larger context and a good sense of where you're heading, but then also encourage you to make contact and participate in events over on the Columbia side as well. So I'm going to turn things over to talk a little bit about the application process to Natasha.
Thank you so much. Can everyone hear me? Am I being heard? I want to make sure. I had some technical difficulties earlier. Hello, everyone. My name is Natasha Stanislaus. I am with the Graduate Admissions Office at Columbia Engineering. A little bit about myself. I am a native New Yorker. What else? I'm a first-gen college student. And I've been at Columbia for the better part of my higher education career. So I'm here to help you learn more about these particular pathway programs, of which there are several. But throughout the presentation, if you have any questions about either the admissions process specific to this pathway, or I talk way too fast, or I use one too many acronyms because I've been in higher education too long, please do ask your question. I'm here. We're all here to help assist you in the process. The email addresses, I can be reached at either. You can reach out to the general email address for our office or my specific Columbia email address. And this QR code will pop up a few times over the next few slides. It is to our application page where all the requirements are listed. So a little bit about our application timeline. It's really a two-part process. So the first part happens in your junior year. The application for the pathway options becomes available really in September, usually by September 1st, it's available. I'm a Virgo, so if it's not out September 1st, know that I'm panicked somewhere. You don't have to necessarily send too many emails and call, but it will be available every fall. The application deadline is February 15th. It will have decisions go out hopefully early May. The sooner the better. As you can already tell, there's a lot of moving pieces to the process. Many departments do their best to release decisions in a timely fashion, but depending on their particular amount of applications or a variety of different factors, some departments might take a little bit longer than others. It's not personal. We don't want you to panic. Everyone gets an admissions decision. And the main thing is really being able to make sure you have all your admissions requirements by that February 15th deadline. And once you get your decision, you're able to start working with Beyond Barnard and the C's faculty to register for some coursework. So in your senior year, you're working and to really chip away at your master's degree by completing graduate level credit courses while in undergrad, which is one of the key benefits to these pathways. So to be able to get your Barnard degree to continue working and complete that Barnard degree while also taking a number of credits that will apply to a future graduate program at SEAS. The specific classes that you will be taking, of course, is going to be determined by which pathway you're pursuing and the support of the academic advising. So you'll be able to know exactly what classes you'll need to take during that senior year, but you haven't crossed the street yet. You're still a Barnard student. And then next, when it comes to the application requirements, you are submitting a single online application through us over at the School of Engineering and Applied Science. The application requirements are listed on our website, and it is a truncated admissions process. So it's not the full a set of requirements you might see for other programs. It's shortened so that it's all the more straightforward for you as a Barnard student. So you will have to, of course, provide your transcripts. We need to see how well you're doing academically. We do ask that your overall minimum GPA is at least a 3.5. If you are close, if it's a 3.4923, I don't know if that's possible, but if you're close, by all means use your best judgment. You are welcome to still apply. But we do want to see generally a 3.5 and higher is indicative of your readiness for a graduate program. So that is something that we are looking to see. We ask for a personal statement. We also want your resume or CV, whichever you have, word of advice, to have that be as detailed as possible, in the sense that if you're pursuing extracurricular activities while at Barnard, if you are part of anything, any part-time work that you're pursuing, if you're doing research, please make sure that we know that and it's on your resume. And then we'd like the contact information for 3 reference providers. Ideally, these will be 3 academic references. Ideally, they would be from amazing institutions like, I don't know, Barnard. But if you have a part-time job, if you're at an internship, if there's a research position you've pursued, and you want that to be maybe the source of one of your references, you can again use your best judgment there. And standardized tests are waived. So currently, for those applying to our master's and PhD programs, the GRE is temporarily optional. That's not the same for the Barnard pathways. It is waived altogether. So there's no disadvantage. There's no expectation of standardized tests. It's just simply not required in any form. And we are also waiving the application fee. So again, a big part of the benefit to this pathway is being able to save time and resources for your graduate school education. Many students applying to graduate school, like myself way back in the day, you apply to multiple schools, you have multiple juggling requirements to think about. Different schools want different materials. You pay an application fee for all of them. It could get costly very quickly. So this is very much a really truncated admissions process so that it can be as straightforward as possible. And the next part of, honestly, really before I leave for this presentation, we wanted to make sure that we covered some frequently asked questions regarding the pathways. I will be here for the duration of the presentation. So if you're listening to someone else and you think, oh no, I have an admissions question, no pressure. A common question that we get is whether or not the admission to the MS program for the pathway is guaranteed. So it's technically a conditional acceptance, really. So you're applying in your junior year, and then if you get the conditional offer, you're spending your senior year staying in good academic standing, taking the classes that are required of you, and then you complete what we refer to as a completion application, which essentially says, I did what I said I would do, and I still very much am pursuing this pathway, and then you would be able to formally be granted admission to Columbia Engineering to take place after you graduate from Barnard. So again, your senior year, you're kind of one foot at the Barnard campus and taking classes at SEAS, but then you are formally graduating at Barnard and entering Columbia Engineering, if you complete all the required programs and courses. Funding is another big question we get. Will you be considered for funding to the MS program? It's really important to point out that financial aid on the undergraduate level is very different than the financial aid on the graduate level. So we do want you to be mindful that when it comes to things like the FAFSA, if you're receiving funding currently as a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident, that there is no equivalent to that from the government for graduate programs. And so we do encourage you to, again, take those graduate level courses as like undergraduate. Again, that's why this pathway exists, to make that all the more feasible for you. But you will be eligible and considered for any funding opportunities that we do offer to prospective graduate school students. There may also be others that Beyond Barnard might share with you for you to pursue graduate school. And there's a lot of resources out there specifically to support students from underrepresented backgrounds. So anything that you are eligible to apply for, and I'd also say anything that can help you strengthen your application for grad school, learn more about Columbia engineering, you should definitely still consider taking those steps, even though we do have this special pathway program for you. And another question we get are, what are the other application options that are available? Or put in another way, what if I'm listening to this presentation and I'm currently a senior at Barnard? What are my options then? There is a program available called the MS Express. It's a different application that actually very much mimics the Barnard pathway application. So it's the same requirements, no fee, no tests. You don't need the letters of recommendation, just the information again of the reference writers or those who would provide a reference for you. And I believe you have up to 5 years post-graduation to apply for that instead if you'd like. So, it's a balancing act as to what's the best fit for you. If you know you would like to pursue grad school, if you know you want a master's from the School of Engineering, you're already maybe currently you're a sophomore or about, a junior, you have time to apply, you've asked your advisors, you've talked to people at SEAS, and this is something you're really interested in, by all means apply. But if you're past that deadline, or you would like to graduate from Barnard, maybe pursue some work experience before applying to grad school, know that you still have that MS Express option. And I think that's it from me. So again, I'll stick around to answer any questions that pop up that I can from the admissions perspective. And with that, I'll turn it back to learn about the next part of our agenda.
Great. Thank you so much, Natasha, for that overview and those important details, and sharing those frequently asked questions, which we'll talk a little bit more at the end as well. So now I'm going to turn things over to talk about the chemical engineering program with Professor Austin.
Hi, so I'm Rachel Nerhood Austin. I'm a chemistry professor here at Barnard, and I serve as the lead faculty on the chemical engineering 4+1 program. And there are, of course, as we mentioned earlier, counterparts at Columbia. Typically, as a student, those people become more important as you start working your way through the pathway. But if you have any initial questions, then those would be some that you would direct to me. So we were just going to go quickly through kind of the structure of the program. And so this is a pretty straightforward program, I think, and it's different from the biomedical engineering 4+1 pathway, which I'll also talk about. The chemical engineering pathway is really, as a Barnard student, it's a variation on the chemistry bachelor's degree. So what we have in this program, and if you click on this link, you'll see this. We take the general requirements for a chemistry major, and we do one-to-one substitutions, really only at the mostly the junior and senior levels, where we take and substitute a course in chemical engineering for a required course in chemistry. So kind of a little bit different than what was just mentioned. In this pathway, you're mostly taking undergraduate chemical engineering courses in lieu of undergraduate chemistry classes. So you're not really so much making progress on the master's degree requirements, but you are building a foundation that allows you to go to graduate school at Columbia in chemical engineering and complete the master's degree program effectively in a year. So there's not a lot you have to really think about in this pathway. If you're interested, you would basically just be a chemistry major and you would follow the chemistry curriculum, which is completely set for the first 2 years. The only thing you really add in is more math and a computing class beyond what would be required for chemical engineering. So you really don't get into the details of this until the point where you've declared your major, at which point your major advisor in chemistry will be really able to help guide you. Yeah, so this is what would then happen in your 5th year. This is a structure of what you actually take once you're fully matriculated at Columbia. And this would be how you'd finish your 5th year. One of the things that I will mention is it is possible to chip away at these courses as an undergraduate, as was just discussed, but it's not an essential part of this pathway in the way that it can be for some of the other pathways. If you are able to complete all of your requirements for graduation at Barnard and the total number of required credits for a Barnard degree, and you still have room to spare, you can do a little bit of work towards these courses that are required in the 5th year, which can save costs, but it's not essential that you do that. So you have some flexibility. And we found that our partners in chemical engineering have been really excited about the pathway and have been really great advisors to our students as they work their way through this pathway.
Excellent. And so then we'll go to biomedical engineering. We'll stay with Professor Austin, but there's another part of it that's Professor Mukherjee as well. So
Right. So this pathway is one that is quite different in structure to the chemical engineering program that I just talked about. In the biomedical engineering, you simply do one of these majors. And again, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the first 5, but the structure is the same for the second 3. So you are a biochem major, you're a biology major, you're a chem major, environmental science major, you're a neuroscience major. You do all your biochem biology things. And then in addition, there's just a checklist of math classes and a programming class that you must take. And there are a few other required courses. So they would like you to take a biology course, which you wouldn't have taken as a chemist. So it's a pretty short list of things that you do in addition to your regular major. It's not, it doesn't really take a lot of advising. You just have your regular Barnard major, and on the side, you have this list of, I forget if it's 5 courses or something. You just get those done and you're ready for this program. Again, there's the possibility that you can take some courses in biomedical engineering that will count towards your master's degree while you're still in your 4 years at Barnard. But that's, again, not an essential feature of this track. And it's really only, as a student, you wouldn't want to really put a lot of time thinking about that. You just need to focus on completing the requirements here. And I think for both of these tracks, it certainly makes sense for you to walk across the street and go to some seminars in the department that you're interested in and just try to learn more about what biomedical engineering is or what chemical engineering is, what people do with this. And that you can do by just signing up for their seminar series and just, grabbing a coffee and walking across the street a few times a semester.
excellent. Professor Mukherjee, did you want to jump in and talk about the biomed for the other majors?
Yeah, I mean, hello, everyone. I'm Professor Rashmi Mukherjee. I'm in the Physics and Astronomy department, and I advise students on the biomedical engineering together with Rachel, Professor Austin. So I actually don't have very much more to add. I think Professor Austin gave a really great overview. The important thing to know is that biomedical engineering, the pathway is open to students from various backgrounds, and we just talked about the biology and neuroscience, chemistry, etc. But we've actually had a history of some of our physics majors going on to biomedical engineering, not just in the 4+1, but also in graduate school, actually, at Columbia. So there's that long sort of history. And So if students are interested and they're coming from a math or a physics or computer science background, please come talk to me. And we've worked, we've discussed, we've talked to the faculty at Columbia, and we've coordinated and we worked out the courses. I'm not going to repeat, the list of courses. I think the website is a really great resource. The physics and astronomy, biomedical engineering pathway, we have the courses, and I think the chemistries, the others are also on the website, and they're spelled out. So you should please look at it. One of my jobs is basically to keep that list updated. So every year around this time, before the application process, we coordinate with faculty at Columbia, just make sure that the information there is correct. So that is your resource. Come talk to us, and we'll help you get ready. So and I think it's a really great advice to, if you're interested in exploring and learning more about what else is out there in this field, to really go to the seminar series. And I say that to all my students as well. The seminars are open. They especially the ones that are more general. I'm not talking about the more specific or technical ones. And to just go there and listen to the talks, that really exposes you to what else is there outside of your classwork. So that's it, Christine.
Excellent. And speaking of professors, we're happy to have Professor Elizabeth Olson here with us today from the Columbia side of things. So if you'd like to introduce yourself and add anything.
Sure. Yeah, it's like, can you go on to the next slide? That'll help me because I know there's, yeah. So anyway, I'm really happy to be here. I'm actually a Barnard graduate from 1981. I was a physics major, and then I went on to MIT in physics and found my way back to Columbia. So, and yeah, so these are the courses that were noted, and I won't repeat them all, but you can see the main thing that is a little special is that we suggest that you take at least one of the semesters of quantitative physiology, BMEN 4001 or 4002, or both. It's optional, but recommended. It'll give you a good sense for what's, BME is all about, and what sort of the level is, and what the students are like, and all that. And the seminar is Thursdays at 1 this year, and a bunch of them are actually like professors talking about their journey. Especially in the fall, we had a lot of those. So those are very general and very interesting and very accessible. But many of the talks, I mean, BME is so broad that the talks can't be super technical. Even for the BME students, they know their area and they don't know other areas. So the talks are very accessible. So yeah, I encourage you to come to those. So I think that's all I have to say.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, and for being here for questions as well. So then we'll pop back to Professor Mukherjee, who will talk about the civil, electrical, and mechanical engineering pathways.
Yeah, thank you, Christine. So just, I think these are the three other sort of more popular pathways that our students have been exploring in the last several, I think it's a handful of years. So I've been the faculty lead on the Barnard side for civil, electrical, and mechanical. And if you're interested in this, if you're thinking about it, you should just come reach out to me, and we'll make an appointment to talk one-to-one. And what you see here listed is the names also of the Columbia faculty contacts. And generally, the way it works is that you start out, you come reach out to me, and we'll have a conversation. And then I, depending on your interest, after we've talked, I set up an introduction with the professor at Columbia, and then students go and meet with the cognate department professor at Columbia. The thing to keep in mind is, students realize their interest in this program at various stages. So I don't think that you need to necessarily know right away at day one that this is what you want to do. I mean, if you come into Barnard and you really want to do, you want to do the 4+1, know it early, certainly come talk to me. And there are a few things you could start out with right away. So for example, for electrical engineering, there's an introduction to electrical engineering course, which is very general. And you could take just in your freshman year, and that's a very broad overview introduction. But if you decide in your sophomore year that you're interested in this program, it's not too late. So I think the main thing to keep in mind is that for all of these engineering, physics related pathways, the first 2 years is really about your physics major. It's building that base, it's the introduction, it's the advanced courses, it's the mathematics and computer science. And there's a very good overlap with the requirements going into engineering and what we require for the physics major. And so it isn't too late. It's really in your, I would say in your second semester, in your sophomore year, your junior year, that you really start taking these engineering courses in the engineering school. So I think other than that, I would say, if you're even thinking about it, come discuss it with us. And you'll see here, I think what's important here, I just want to mention that Christine is showing, there's a lot of information on the departmental webpage at SEAS itself, and you can see what the professors are working on. There's all of their research, the work that they're doing is very well described. On the Barnard physics webpage, and I don't know if you have the link here, I'll just put it up. I'll put it up in the chat. It's physics.barnard.edu, and you'll see that we have a whole section devoted to the 4+1 pathways. And for each of these electrical, civil, and mechanical, we've fleshed out the courses for the 4 years that you're here at Barnard. And as I said, for the major, the courses are dependent on each other. They're prerequisites, and you just basically have a structure that's pretty straightforward, and you just go through it. The other thing I just wanted to add is that if you're interested in engineering, again, keep your eyes be aware of the research and the work that is being done just outside the classroom, just to inform yourselves, just to have sort of an overview of the field and general knowledge. That always helps. I think that's mostly what I wanted to say. I just wanted to see what you have on your next page. Yeah. So I think, as I said, I don't want to repeat the courses. You should just go into the physics website, which I will post momentarily, and just review that, look at them, and then I'm happy to talk to individual students. And I do keep that updated. So thank you. That's all I was going to say, Christine.
Great. Well, excellent. Thanks to all of you for giving those quick but really informative overviews and additional resources. I want to open things up to questions now. Let me just stop sharing for a moment. And I think we have a couple of questions already in the chat. Oh, okay, and some are already answered, which is even more efficient. Okay, so. Okay. Do the prerequisite courses for BME have to be completed prior to applying in junior year or just by the end of senior year?
By the end of senior year.
Excellent. Good. And as Professor Austin noted, depending on your individual situation, so we definitely have students in these pathways who do have room in their schedule to start taking some of the master's level courses. The thing to keep in mind, I think we repeated it in some places, but not everywhere, is that if you take a master's level course that you want to apply to the master's degree, it cannot be counted. It cannot be counted towards your Barnard major, minor, or general requirements. It can't be counted towards your Barnard degree. And so how that works is if you're able to take, we use the phrase chip away, if you're able to chip away at the requirements while still a Barnard undergrad, the advantage there is that you are still paying Barnard tuition, you still receive Barnard financial aid if you're on financial aid, so there can be a financial advantage there as well as a time advantage. On the other hand, we want you to, keep balance and be able to successfully complete and enjoy your Barnard experience. So it's definitely something to talk about with your major advisor, the faculty leads, us here at Beyond Barnard, and just sort of think about how you want to balance all of that.
One thing I might just say in to follow up on that question, my sense, Elizabeth, is that and I think this is good for students to understand as well. The admissions decision is in large part based on the judgment of whether you're going to be successful in these programs. It's not like a mean thing. It's, looking at your transcript and saying, yes, this person really looks like they'll succeed in our program. So if you would not take some of the required math courses, if you put them off to the end of your senior year. My sense is that that can make it a little bit more difficult for the committee to judge your application. So maybe you want to just say a bit more about that. I've certainly counseled students to make sure that they're not putting off a lot of requirements to the senior year, such that it would preclude your ability to judge whether sort of how likely you think they're going to be to succeed.
Yes, I mean, I agree with that. And there's this is a little off track, but there's a math class that a lot of the BME undergrads take, which is like a combined linear algebra ODE class. I can't remember the number right now, but that's a good class that would actually satisfy both those courses. So I think that the main thing is, as soon as you know that you're interested in this, to, talk to an advisor and get, start to prepare for taking the classes that you'll need to do. You definitely don't want to pile a bunch of math classes the last semester of your Barnard, senior year. But on the other hand, if you're missing ODE and you need to take that, then that's fine. A lot of the incoming master's students even have to take things over the summer because they don't have those prerequisites, from coming from other places. So it's because they do come from different backgrounds as well, different departments.
Feel free to come off mic if you would like to answer a question in real time, or continue typing things into the chat. Any questions on the application process, or I don't know if you've got some juniors in the house who are preparing their applications for the February 15th deadline, or first years or sophomores who are just starting to think about this. But whatever your situation, happy to answer questions. All right, well, this is either a testament to how thoroughly you explained everything, or they're all busy on the website looking at the details, or it's just late on another cold January day and people are ready to get out of here. Either way, thank you to all of you for coming, students, for taking time out to come and find out this information. Please feel free to follow up with any of us as needed. And to everyone who joined us, all of my colleagues, thank you so much for your ongoing support of our students as they find their way through these pathways, and for being here today and answering questions.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.